Hi everybody, it's Tasso. It's the end of the year and I cannot not give you advice on how to plan for next year. I know that many people are struggling with this, trying to do something new, trying to make a difference in their lives and planning better for the year to come. And so I wanted to share with you a process that I have put in place for myself, how I look back at the year and I plan for next year, and I hope that it might be helpful for you. If you have not looked yourself, found something in the internet, Googled it, then maybe this is something that you can at least try, do something differently. Because let me ask you this, how happy are you about last year? How fulfilled do you feel about last year? Was it your best year yet? If no, if yes, great, but was it the best year because of the things that happened to you or because of the things that you intentionally installed in your life? And I'm not thinking about resolutions here. I'm thinking those things that are moving you forward, those things that you planned for your personal growth. So if you have not satisfied yet with how you manage things, here's a suggestion. Have a look at it, give it a try, maybe it is something for you. Now, here's what I do. Step number one is, of course, to look back at last year. Now, you look back at last year and you capture all these things that you've done, all those things that are memorable events. So take your time for this. It will not come easy, particularly not if you do it for the first time. Your mind might play tricks on you because you might feel, oh, there was not really anything particular or anything special. There was. Take your time, find a place, find some peace, and go through this exercise. Write down everything that you feel worth noting down. So it can be things like new activities that you tried. It can be things that you progressed well because of those things that you tried before. It might be family events like weddings and baptisms and things like that. And it can be also things that you're particularly proud of. Like I progressed. I was very consistent with sports. Just write those things down. The next thing I wanted to do is to make a little star, a little asterisk on each of those elements that you feel had a big impact on your life. Because what you will realize, at least it was the fact in my case, that what you will realize is that you have been investing a lot of time and effort in things that didn't make a lot of difference in your life. They didn't have a huge impact or that impact that you wanted them to have. So mark them down. It's not the time to be judgmental. This is not the time to look at your year back and say, oh my God, I wasted my time. No, but it's very important to put them down, to have them in front of you, visible, and to raise the awareness about this. Now, I want you to complement this little exercise by also noting those things down that you wanted to do, but you didn't get to do. Again, please don't be judgmental. There might be all sorts of reasons why you didn't get to do those things, okay? It doesn't matter, just write those things down. And I will tell you in a minute why this is important. Now, the final two things that I want you to do in order to finalize and to conclude the review of last year are, number one, capture those things that you didn't like about yourself. Capture those things that you didn't like about the way you were. So it might be things like you've been short-tempered, okay, and you didn't like about yourself, like choleric, you were emotional, or you say you didn't like that you had too much Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude. How is this in English? Malicious joy, when you were happy when something bad happened to other people. All these things that you observed about yourself that you didn't like, capture these things down. And finally, capture also your self-limiting beliefs, those things that are holding you back, And even if you didn't have any coach to go with you through this, it doesn't matter. I know that you know what your self-limiting beliefs are. The big items are always visible, and sometimes they hide as excuses. These can be things like, I have nothing special to offer, whatever I can do, everybody else can do as well. Or things like, no, I didn't do this because, this exists already. There's nothing new. Everything exists already. All these sorts of things are self-limiting beliefs that are holding you back. And why is it important to capture those? Well, this is fundamentally important because no matter how much you plan for next year, no matter how much you want to change, how much you want to accelerate anything in 2017 or any year to come, depending on when you're watching this, it will not happen when your mind is stepping on the brakes. So you need to identify those things that are holding you back in order to move forward. Okay, so now look how far you've come. Look how far you've come and what you already have captured. You have those things that you've done. You've had them even qualified by those things that, had a big impact in your life and not. You have those things that you wanted to do but didn't really start or get done. You have those things that were bothering you about yourself, about your person, and you have those things that you believe are holding you back, those, big obstacles that you need to get out of the way. This is fantastic. This is already huge. Now, the icing of the cake for the review would also be if you have been journaling last year, if you have been capturing the lessons of your life. It can be because you attended workshops or seminars, online or offline. It can be maybe at work when you were in a meeting, you thought about something and you jotted it down on your notebook. Now is the time to also look at those things. You look at those things from a perspective of, these are the things to consider. These are my lessons. I want to keep these in mind when I move forward and plan. Okay? That is the review of last year. You're done. Now it's all about jumping into planning for next year. Now, how does that work? Every start is difficult. Every beginning is tough and it's messy. But we did the review of last year, so it will help us a little bit. Now, before we start defining new things for 2017, let's start with those things that we said we would do last year, but we actually didn't do last year. So let's start with those. And I want you to look at those and identify why you didn't move on with these things. Why did you not get started with these things? But don't put too much effort on this. I'm sure there was a particular reason for that. I'm sure that, maybe they were not as important after all, or you gave them an importance that they didn't have. That's fine. But look at them from the perspective only, is that something actually I would like to move to next year? It's just to get you started for next year. So in order to facilitate this judgment, I want you to think of 4 categories of things. 4 categories of things that will help you define what you want to do for next year. Category number 1 is all the must-haves. It's all the focus areas of your life. So, is it an activity that is at the core of the life you want to have? Is it an activity in the core of the life you want to live and lead? Is it something that is related to your personal growth? Those activities are the must-haves, are those activities that need to be the focus of next year. The second category is the nice-to-haves, obviously, the hobbies. It's everything about entertainment. It's everything that is, that you could do, but it's not related to personal growth or to advancing you, moving you forward. Third category is the clutter, is all those things that you actually should not be doing, or those things that you should be doing less of, maybe browsing in the internet, maybe Facebooking, all these things, You can also use this, by the way, this categorization to look at last year, but it's particularly important when you move forward, because we don't want to look too much back, we want to look forward, okay? And the fourth thing is about administration stuff. Now, this is optional, but because administrative things take a lot of our time, and you don't want to neglect this, and to overestimate the time that you have for the things that matter to you, maybe it's worth capturing things. That's what I do, at least. So you look at those things that you didn't do last year, and you look whether they are worth moving forward to next year based on this categorization. Then you look at all the new things, look at all these new things that you want to do, but please keep in mind these categories and respect the time you allocate to different things based on the category they have. Add things to your entertainment only if you really have sorted out the focus areas of your life. Then you look at those things that actually were bothering you. Remember at the beginning when we look back at the year, we also captured those things that we didn't like about ourselves. So now is the time to put them down. So for instance, if you were feeling that you compare yourself to others too much, now you can say, no, I want to be more grateful about the things that I actually have. Or one thing, for instance, you might say, I rushed into my day. I felt I react too much. Maybe now is the time to be more intentional about the day, to start and install a morning routine, to try mindfulness, for instance. So look at those things that were bothering you and define what will help you tackle those. Now, do something different, really think about something different. It will excite you and it will make you look forward to it. It's really a nice feeling when you have something new to look forward to. And it will also tell your mind that you can do things that you put your mind to it. It will prove to yourself that you can do these things. Now, the final step in terms of planning for next year is to create an environment where your new trial, if you're doing this for the first time or if you want to do something differently, is actually having chance to succeed. So all it does is you have to ask yourself the question, what kind of person do I need to be in order to be successful at what I plan to do? What kind of skills and capabilities do I need? So what kind of person and with what skills and behavior do I need to be in order to be successful? And what types of routines do I need to install in order to be successful? This is a very important point because it allows you, as I said, to create an environment where these changes can actually happen. Because in order for something new that you try to happen, you need to create an environment that is allowing this to happen. Now, these were the suggestions. I hope that makes sense. I'm not going to go through all, summary details because the summary of this will be in the summary below the video. So you can please feel free to go back and have a look at those step by step and ask yourself these questions. But don't worry too much about everything. It's going to be tough in the beginning. Don't get overwhelmed and don't get frustrated if things don't go immediately as they should. And don't assume because it didn't work last year that it will not work this year. Because if you assume this is one thing that you should put under self-limiting beliefs, okay? Go back and put this under self-limiting beliefs. Because look at this, the next year or a new year in general, it might be a cliche, but it is a marking point in our lives. At least it is in our heads. And as a new day can bring a new opportunity, so can a new year bring the chance for a lasting change. It can happen. You only need to believe that this is possible, and only thing is you need to keep trying. You need to keep moving forward, and you need to try and do something differently, because if you don't do something different, you cannot expect something different to happen, and you need to keep trying to be intentional. So I hope this helped you. I hope it gave you a little bit of inspiration and even a little tool for you to look back at what you've achieved so far and how you can transfer these things and improve the next year for the year to come. So I hope it was helpful. If it was, please leave a comment. Leave your thoughts. Tell me how you plan your next year. Tell me if something that I just told you about did not work for you and what was in the way. I'm always curious to learn. If you like this, please click on the thumb or please click on the little heart, depending on where you see this video. If you liked it very much, please share it. I'm always super grateful to be able to help people to plan for their lives and for the next years to come. So I thank you very, very much for watching, and until the next post, all the best.